Hello and welcome to your 13th tutorial on JavaScript. And in this tutorial we will talk about another loop, another instrument for your programs, which will make your code very efficient. This is called a for loop. For loop is used not only in JavaScript but also in other languages, as it's very efficient and allows you to write three important things inside a condition. You can write the condition itself, the value to be incremented, and the incrementation of the value. You can write the other forms of conditionals as well, but we will do this simple increment form. So if you'll open up your last project that we did in the last video, the 12th lesson, you can see that we are using a do-while loop. Let's now simplify the do-while loop to the while loop, which has one condition: A is smaller than B. Let's switch the places for while condition and remove do. Now let's run the code. As you can see, it doesn't print out anything. Now let's remove variable c as we don't need it and make a equal to 100 and remove the incrementation of variable c as we don't have it. Now let's refresh the page, and as you can see, we are getting 101 all the way up to 1000. Now how we can make this using for loop? For loop is just like while loop, but we are adding the incrementation at the end of the conditional and the variable to be incremented at the start of the conditional, putting semicolons between. So let's make a variable a right here, make it equal to 100, and then later increment it by 1. You can also write a++ for shorter notation. Remove the incrementation in the loop and let's run the program. As you can see, it prints out all the values from 100 to 999, leaving out 1000. That's because the order changed and we are first printing the value of a and then incrementing it. So incrementation happens at the end of the for loop cycle. Let's now increment a, for example, by 2. We will get all the same things, but we are getting even numbers from 100 to 1000. If we want to print 1000 also, we can write a is smaller than or equal to b. And we are getting 1000 right at the end. If you want, you can also multiply a by 2, which will print out all the even variables, but they will be just multiplied by 2, so you are getting only 4 of them. And you are not getting 1000 really, because 800 is the last value, and 800 multiplied to 2 will be equal to 1600, which is obviously more than 1000. And this is how it goes. So using for loop is very important because it saves space. So we can remove assignment of variable a, and we can basically remove variable b also, and then we can write 1000 instead of b. And let's see what we got. We are getting the same result. Now let's add several zeros to the b. Not much lines were added, right? That's because we are multiplying by 2 and the value gets bigger and bigger faster over time. So that's how you can use a for loop. And for loop can be used for looping through different variable numbers or looping through different arrays, and it can be used in very different and variety of ways. So let's now create an array of numbers. Let's create r, the variable r, of course, and make it equal to new array 3. And let's put the a equal to 0, a is smaller than 3, a plus equals to 1, and let's leave everything the same way. As you can see, the value of a was printed. Now we know that we are getting a for loop to print all the indexes from 0 to 2, or from the array element number 1 to array element number 3. Now let's fill out the array with numbers. Array equals to 34, 43, 333, and semicolon. Now let's document that write r to the index of a and see what we get. We are getting 34, 43, and 333 just as expected. This is because for loop is very useful for printing out all the array elements or some part of array elements, knowing how much elements we have and how much elements we do need. For loop can also be used several times. So for example, we can take this for loop and put a for loop inside of it, changing the variable to, for example, b, and printing out the same array variable, but by multiplying it by b and adding 1. Save this and let's see what we'll get. As you can see, we are getting a very interesting picture. First, we are getting the first element of the array. Then we are taking a value of b, which is equal to 0, and then adding 1 until it gets to 2. So first we are multiplying 34 by 0, adding 1, we get 1. Then multiplying it by 1, adding 1, we get 35. Then multiplying it by 2, we get 68. Adding 1, we get 69. And next we go to the next element of the array. So this right here is called a nested for loop, because it's nested inside of another for loop. We could also have written a while loop, for example. This is exactly the same, but we would put an increment inside of the loop like this, removing the semicolons, and then initializing the variable b outside of both of the loops, changing the name for to while, and voila, we'll get another result. But for unfortunate reasons, we don't get the same result. That's because we had b equal to 0 all the time, but when it gets to the second loop, b is already equal to 2 plus 1, so b is already equal to 3, and it doesn't get into the while loop again. So for this, we need to initialize the value of b inside of the loop and make it equal to 0. This way you make sure that you'll have the correct output. And we do indeed have the correct output. So for the homework, I want you to write 3 nested for loops and 2 nested while loops inside of each other. This way you will practice the concept of loops and you will learn how to use them.